So, part two, having discussed when we move, we now look at where we move. We're going to be using the stick because it gives us a nice clear movement for the purposes of this drill. And the answer is really, it depends a lot on circumstances where I'm going to move to. It depends on the situation, it depends on who's involved, it depends on the space and environment around me. If I'm standing at the top of a flight of stairs, it's probably not a good idea to move back. Likewise, if I'm with people I want to protect and want to get away from the situation, then maybe I want to create distance. So that's very context specific. Nonetheless, we can pretty much boil it down to two choices. We move away or we move closer. For the sake of this, we're going to be working on moving closer because part three is what happens once we get in, how do we work with the person. But we can't work with the person if we're in the wrong position. So, where do we go to? And how do we get there? So many questions. Part of the answer comes from what we did before. This idea of, as soon as I pick up the threat, my nervous system is picking up the threat and my body is already reacting to it. Okay? If I've got that working, if I'm working on that intuitive, instinctive level, all I have to do is let my body take me where it wants to go. So here, for example, as that comes up, break this, as that comes up, my body's already moving in preparation. Well, if I just follow this movement through, that takes me where I need to go. So what I have to do is, once I get that signal, is allow it to travel through the body and not freeze. That's the freeze reaction. Instead, I turn that into a response and then I'm in position. If you get stuck doing this, if you're not sure where to go, you let the strike contact and it kind of, you push it through and you see how do you move the body in order to slide that off. So again, we go back to what we were doing last time. This is why it's very important to work contacts. We can do this for as long as it takes, and then eventually my body's going to go, oh, that's where I need to go. That's the first thing. The second method is, say we're not kind of quite switched on enough and it takes us a little bit by surprise, is your movement is initiated by your fear. So where does the fear come in my body? If we're here and I see the stick and it starts moving, so perhaps the fear is here first. It's a visual thing and the head moves back, which is not an unnatural reaction, a flinch. But again, if that flinch is a reaction and I stay in it, not so good. Instead, that flinch has to travel through the body and allow me to move. And again, all I really need to do is follow that direction. So that's two things. If our nervous system is working properly and our awareness is working sufficiently well, as soon as I pick up that intention, I'm already moving in the direction that I would if the stick was going to hit, or the knife or the fist or whatever else it is. If I'm a little bit caught by surprise, then I work from my fear. My fear point here is in the head. The fear point could be if it's coming in for the stomach, it might be here. Okay? So rather than closing around my fear, I have to open up to it and I allow the fear to move. Chances are, nothing's 100% right, but chances are if you listen to your body, it will be in the right place. So let your fear travel through to the feet. Again, what happens a lot of the time is this might move, but the feet get kind of stuck. So this has to be a whole body response. So you can work this at different stages, because in an ideal world, he's like 6 foot away and he slowly raises the stick and he comes in with a big, that's easy. And it's okay to start like that, to start building up this mechanism. But after, you should be able to work any sort of pre-movement after a while. and you just position, because I'm picking up this, there's the intention. I allow my body to move where it needs to move. So this takes away the need for me to think, right, stick is coming in, I'm going to drop an elbow strike and then hit and body. Or stick comes in, I'm going to come and block, then I'll do this kind of thing. It's all okay, but this is all predicated on my technique. I have to work so many thousands of repetitions in order to get my technique as a natural response, where in fact I've already got a really good natural response there that is ready to go if I know how to wake it up and switch it on. So that's the second part. Next time, once we're in there, we'll look at what to do next.